Greetings, old school magic players, and welcome to the Four Horsemen. Greetings, old school magic players. Welcome to the Four Horsemen on Sunday, January 26th. I'm the Chadster. I'm joined here today by John Eckleberry, and today we're going to be covering some Four Horsemen quarterfinals matches from our tournament number 18. Four Horsemen Old School Magic is the only old school format that focuses exclusively on the original first four expansions of Magic the Gathering, Antiquities, Arabian Nights, Legends, and the Dark. You can check us out at fourhorsemenmagic.com, and you can join us on our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/4horsemenmtg. Tournament number 18 ran January 3rd and is going to be wrapping up on February 8th. This is our 18th tournament, special winter event. This tournament ran for 5 weeks. We are in week number 3. Week number 4, we just finished the top 16 playoffs, and we're going to be moving into the quarterfinals and semifinals here this week. So let's check out some of the top 18 matches. You guys can join our tournaments, and this is a view of the kind of prize pool. We've got some fantastic playmats done by Ken Meyer Jr. and some really great top 8 prizes made by John Eckleberry. The banned and restricted list is as you see here. This has recently been updated for our tournament number 18, and we're going to be sticking with this banned and restricted as we move into these new tournaments. This is a nice list that's helping to keep the format balanced, and the players seem to be brewing some pretty spicy stuff, and we're going to look at some of the decks here in just a minute. Take a look at all the great custom proxies and tokens that John has made. If you make our top 8 and play in our tournament events, you will be sent some of these tokens, and John will mail them out to you for qualifying in the top 18. There's the top 8 players. Looking at our brackets, we had, we had 32 players in this event, and we did a top 16. Looking at the top 8, we're going to be focusing on the match today of Lucas Santos versus Tim Kincaid. Lucas is playing an Underworld Djinns deck, and Tim is playing a Juxtapose Robots deck. Hey John, are you back with me now?
Yep, I'm here with you, Chad.
Hey John. All right, we've got the players are going to be joining us here quickly, probably in just a few minutes. So just a quick deck tech. Lucas is running the Underworld Djinns deck. What do you think of this brew?
I'm happy to see all the black cards. We have seen green-black be successful in previous tournaments, and I like this build. I think we're seeing a number of players experiment with kind of transitional sideboards. It looks like he moves into kind of a robots deck. I'm not sure what decks he wants that version of his deck against more. It'll be interesting to see because I think robots are pretty popular anyway. I don't know. What do you make of this build?
Well, I like all the Djinns. I've always been a big fan of Ernham Djinn. Jusum Djinn we haven't seen a lot of lately, but we saw a lot of them in the early tournaments. I think Underworld Dreams is fantastic, especially with all of the control decks that we've seen. Underworld Dreams is a great answer for these long matches that are, as you pointed out, kind of grindy, getting that damage in. He's definitely taking advantage of the Sylvan Library and the Dark Heart of the Wood, which are now restricted for the Life Engine and the Drawing Engine. And he's got a lot of fast creatures too. He's got pixies, he's got scavenger folks, he's got a couple of elves. And I like the fact that he at least has some flyers. You know, a lot of ground creatures can give you some challenges these days, particularly with Rook Eggs and Urnham Djinns and stuff. So having those Fallen Angels could be a great finisher. Got a couple of ways to deal with extra lands with those 2 blights, which is very smart, considering, you know, we've got workshops, we've got factories, Maze of Ith, Diamond Valley. I think it's a really well-rounded brew. In his sideboard, he's got some crumbles, he's got some Suchi, some more robots, another Triskelion, Mirror Universe, couple drop of honey, a greed, and some Desert Twisters. The Desert Twisters are pricey, but they allow you to deal with almost anything. So this seems like it's a pretty solid, well-rounded deck. All right, should we take a look at...
I haven't seen this one in action yet, but I have seen Tim's deck in action, and it is pretty interesting if we want to flip over and take a gander at his.
All right, and it looks like Tim is on with us. Hey, Tim, how you doing?
Hey guys, doing well. I'm just getting some tea and gonna get shuffled up here.
All right, sounds good.
We're doing your deck tech right now, Tim. So if you'd like to chime in and share some comments, feel free. But this is a really spicy brew. Tim was in my group and crushed me with this deck, and it's really all built around Juxtapose, which is a really, really spicy card.
Yeah, I like it. I watched a lot of really interesting plays and a lot of interesting back and forth in the previous match of Tim's that I recorded, and yeah, I really like this. Since we got him on, I'll let Tim say a few words about his deck if he wants to.
So I was looking at the card Juxtapose and recently completed a play set. I even have some nice black bordered ones, original, some Italian, and I was like, I really want to play with this card. So that's pretty much the thrust of the deck to play Juxtapose. And I thought, the best way to do it is going to be to play a big casting cost artifact creature like Trike or Tetrabus, because when you read about the card on the Gatherer, that it says that you have to swap a creature and an artifact, but that one artifact creature may be involved for both exchanges. So it's like, okay, if you have it looks first at the expensive creature, the highest casting cost creature. So you can, if you have Trike or Tetrabus are 6 casting costs, you can give them the 6-drop, and then it's like, oh, you've given them the artifact and the creature all in one, and you can take Urnhams and Jusums and whatever expensive creature they have. So yeah, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, Juxtapose is really powerful, and it's a sorcery. So, unless you've got like a mana drain in Four Horsemen, there's not a lot of things you can do about it. And those rulings are really interesting that Tim pointed out there, and they're relevant, right? Because it doesn't specify artifact creature; it just says artifact, right? It says first creatures are exchanged, then artifacts are exchanged, and the rulings are it's possible to exchange. It's possible that the same artifact creature may be involved in both exchanges, and there's no targeting in this. The permanents are just swapped. So you can't have protection from things in targeting, and it's a really interesting card that does some very tricky stuff. So I really like this brew, and like I was saying earlier in some of the early Four Horsemen tournaments, Parker Boab, who made it to the finals a few times, also played with a Juxtapose deck, and it was really powerful, and it's nice to see it kind of making its way back here to the top 8. All right, so continuing with Tim's deck, has Lucas joined us yet, by the way?
Yep.
Oh, hey, Lucas. Yep. All right, we got everybody here. Good, Lucas. Thanks for joining us. I know it's bright and early for you there in Brisbane, 5 a.m. Did you get your coffee?
All good. Yeah, mate, I'm all good.
All right, we're live on the stream, and we were just wrapping up some of the deck text. So if you guys are ready, we can move into your match.
Sounds good to me.
All right, Tim, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm just shuffling up, so yeah, should be good.
Okay. And Tim, I see you got your Four Horsemen mat. It's always nice to see that.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, got it ready to roll.
All right, I'm going to switch over to the whereby, and you guys are ready. Take it away.
Good morning, Lucas.
Good morning, mate. How you going?
Going well. Did you get any sleep?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I was all right. Ready to go, excited. Monday morning here in Australia. It's a public holiday, so nothing best than waking up to play some Magic.
What holiday is it over there?
It's Australia Day.
Oh, it's Australia Day. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, John.
Thanks for hanging out with me and playing some Magic on your holiday.
John, can you hear
Bright
me?
and early.
No worries.
Hey, buddy.
All good.
All right.
Looking forward to it. Deck
So
looks neat,
it's going to be an
man.
interesting match between these two
I
guys.
was trying
Yeah.
to figure out
Looks
your
like we
side
got
strategy.
Christian
I was
also
listening
in
to
the
John Pickleberry's commentary, and I was
in the whereby as well. Yeah, I was just talking with Tim. He's Tim won. I think it was tournament. What was that? 14? Was it tournament 14 that he won? With his all enchantments deck. Pretty spicy.
Yeah, that was tournament 13 or 14. I think it was 14. Tournament 14, Tim and I faced off in the finals, and he had a black-white enchantment deck that was just locked me up. I almost got there, but couldn't quite do it. That video's out there if you want to go back and watch it. It's a good match.
Yeah.
But he's back with another innovative build. He's definitely brought something different to the table every time he's played. He hasn't just run back the same lists. He's continued to develop them, and this deck with the Juxtaposes is really cool.
Yeah, it's really spicy, and like you said, Tim's always done really innovative brews. This deck is got a lot of dynamic cards. He's got the Brass Man, which come out early, along with the Sage of Latnam. He's got a one of Repenitent Blacksmith Pro Red guy. He's got a couple of Tawnos Coffins, and he's running the 4 Spirit Links like we see in a lot of the control decks, 3 Triskelions and 2 Tetravus. And basically, he gets out his Brass Man for early defense and ends up giving you a Brass Man, and he gets whatever big creature you've got. If Lucas is dropping Urnum Djinns and Jusum Djinns, Tim can come in and swap it out and get give them his tiny little Brass Man and get the big beater. So it's a really interesting take on the Juxtapose game theme.
Yeah, it feels pretty good when you trade a 1-drop for something relevant. And Brassman has just been all over this format. I don't know. I guess he just is kind of one of the good early plays because he blocks Curd Ape, he blocks Factory. He can shores up your early game a little bit, but in Tim's deck he pulls double duty because he does those things, but he also can play well with Juxtapose.
Yeah. Yeah, the Brass Man is so funny, right? Because that's another card that we all had as kids. It was reprinted and revised, and it's a 1/3 for 1, so it's it doesn't seem like it's that great, but when you can get it out on turn 1 and start hitting in, it's particularly in Four Horsemen when there's not a ton of super rapid speed other than Curd Ape and Pixies. It's actually pretty decent as a blocker. And then it fits in with these combo decks like the Tax Edge deck, where it's an early blocker for Tax Edge and you can run on 1 land. So the Brassman's been a really spicy and innovative part of Four Horsemen.
Yeah, it's pretty excellent. It's funny that we're kind of shy on 2-drops for a lot of decks, but certainly having this 1-drop that's worthwhile is good. He just shows up in a ton of lists.
Yeah. All right, the guys are shuffling up here. So do you have any predictions, John, just based on the track records and deck photos?
Well, I think Tim's got a pretty good chances here because he's just good against Lucas's game plan, right? you know, and I don't know that Lucas is necessarily going to want to use the transitional sideboard against Tim, although maybe he will. Maybe he just fights fire with fire, and you know, it's Trike and Tetravis versus Trike and Tetravis, because there's no option to swap really when you're just playing the big dudes. Although the interesting thing is you can split the Tetravis and then just give them the 1/1, or shoot the arms off on the Trike and then just give them a 1/1. So there might be still some room in there where, you know, he takes a Tetravis that has counters and gives Lucas back a Tetravis with no counters.
Right.
You know, or something like that, which is going to make all the difference, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing that I think Lucas has going for him, well, he's starting off fast here, getting a Scavenger Folk early. Getting that early turn 1 creature is actually relevant, especially here since Tim doesn't have his turn 1 Brassman. Oh, and a turn 2 Argothian Pixies. That is a very, very, very strong start for Lucas right out of the gate. All right, Tim.
We've really seen a resurgence of green-red aggro. It kind of has made the cycle, because it was getting played a lot early, because of course it's a good early deck in this format where you kind of look at the card pool and say, yep, that's going to be one of the tier 1 decks. But the meta kind of adjusted to it, and it went away for a while because it wasn't doing so well against the really kind of hardcore prison control decks that we were seeing. And now it's just, you know, all cycled back around, and people seem to be running Apes again and Urnums again, and, you know, how can you blame them? Those are powerful cards, and if you get a good matchup, they can be really devastating. Something like Sage here is pretty good, because it can block and kill the 1/1 and trade with the 2/1. That's what is that? Oh, that's an oubliette. That's one of my oubliettes.
Yeah, that's a special John Eccleberry custom art proxy. Now that's interesting. So that's going to exile that Sage, and that Sage was really going to help Tim quite a bit, not only in later game drawing, but also he could block that Pixie and take it out, because the Sage is a 1/2 and the Pixie's a 2/1. So this is a very, very important play here on Lucas's part to be able to get rid of that early blocker.
It's a really good tempo play, because it removes that both the blocker and potential card draw later, and allows him to beat in for 3. So, I mean, it certainly keeps him in the role of aggressor, which really, looking at the deck list, Lucas wants to be the aggressor always if he can. You know, Tim can afford to hang back a little more, you know, and he's got stuff like Spirit Links and whatever. Although it's interesting, one thing that Tim did mention to me after his last match was that he feels like it might be better to run Remove Souls over the Spirit Links in those slots. Although I manifested it there, because then he played a Spirit Link. So that's what I talked about.
Look at that.
Well, there it is.
All right, so Tim's at 16 and gets a turn 2 Fell War and a Spirit Link out. So that is going to slow down Lucas's pace there, but he's got a Scavenger Folk he can still attack in with.
Lucas could really use a Pendelhaven here if he's not going to drop another creature. I don't know if is he running Pendelhaven in his deck?
Yeah, he is. He's got 2 Pendelhavens.
It's tough when you've got 3 damage on board and suddenly your damage output gets cut by 2/3.
Right.
You know, that Spirit Link really shut him down and turned the damage to a trickle. There's the 1/0 Strip Mine, hits the board on Tim's side. Not really anything to use it on currently, but that's fine, because he's going to want to make it to 6 mana to play his big guys anyway. You don't really want to blow your Strip Mine early, I don't feel like, most of the time in this format. Unless, I guess, you know, they've got like a turn 1 workshop, or you can knock them off a color really early and really muck up their game. But 9 times out of 10, I really just want to keep it to have the extra mana on my side, and then save it for something like Maze of Ith down the road.
Yeah, it's interesting. Lucas is going to have to be very thoughtful and careful about what he decides to play. Oh, he drops a Blight here on the Tundra. You know, knowing that Juxtapose is part of the deck strategy that Tim has, Lucas has got to be very thoughtful about what he puts into play, because once Tim gets to 4 mana, he may not want to play his Juxum Djinns and Urnum Djinns if Tim has a Brass Man or something like that. So it'll be really interesting to see how Lucas tries to navigate around Juxtapose, which is, you know, such a tricky card to deal with. Looks like Tim's looking something up on his phone here. Let me listen in and see what these guys are discussing.
No, I'm just trying to see where the deck lists were posted. I don't know if there's like a. I'm trying to find Lucas's pick. Yeah. Do you want to just text me your deck pick, Lucas?
Yeah, sure.
I think. There, I just sent you a message. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna draw.
1 second, I will text you.
Okay, so Tim was looking at, trying to look up the deck photos to take a look at Lucas's deck.
I saw that. I almost just sent it to him, but they worked it out. Lucas is just gonna shoot him over Messenger. So we got it.
Okay, so
Okay,
Tim,
so we got another Sage here.
Sage is coming down.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's a great blocker considering all Lucas has right now is the Scavenger Folk. And so now Lucas has a real kind of conundrum. He knows Tim's playing Juxtapose. He's looked at his deck photo. I think he's done some practice games as well. And now Tim has a small little creature that can, you know, trigger with the Juxtapose action. So now he's got to think, well, how do I handle this? Because if he plays an Urnum or a Juxum here, then Tim can play Juxtapose and just swap.
Yeah, it's really tough. I don't know. Like, you only want to play around it to a certain degree, because if he sits too long and just, well, there he did. He made the decision. He just slammed an Urnum. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so Urnum Djinn coming in, the ever classic. This card has been showing up in so many decks lately. Such a reminiscent card, reprinted in Chronicles, one of my favorite cards of all time, and certainly reminiscent of the Sidewalk Magic days. All right, so now Tim's kind of at his turning point in the game. He's stabilized. He took a bit of early damage down to 14, but that Spirit Link really slowed down the early Pixies, and he's got another Sage of Latinum as a blocker and also as a potential swap option for the Juxtapose. Let's see what he ends up doing here. Is that a Thanos Coffin? Ah, it's the Juxtapose right away. Yeah, so this is what I was worried about for Lucas here. You know, playing that Urnum Djinn right into the known main combo of Tim's deck. It is, it's got some challenges. Okay, so Tim ends up getting a Sage of Latnam, Tim ends up giving his Sage of Latnam to Lucas, and Lucas ends up getting his Urnum Djinn, taking the Urnum Djinn from Lucas and moving it on to Tim's side using the Juxtapose there. You and target player exchange control of the creature you each control with the highest mana value, then exchange control of artifacts in the same way. Pretty interesting card.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
So now what is Lucas going to do? You know, he didn't have to play that Urnum Djinn. He knows that Tim has a lot of cards in hand. It could have been a bit of a standoff until he gets perhaps, you know, another Oubliette, right? He does have another Oubliette in hand. Let's see, how many Oubliettes does he have? I think he's got 2 Oubliettes in his deck.
So Tim just starts swinging here, right? I mean, I don't really see why you wouldn't want to. And then I guess Lucas probably blocks with the guy that's spirit linked, maybe.
Yeah. The other thing Lucas could have done here is Lucas has 4 Underworld Dreams, so just taking a pause and maybe not playing the Urnum, it's actually an option for him, because if he draws into Underworld Dreams, then he can just play Underworld Dreams and sit back and let Tim take damage.
Yeah, it's a really good card against Tim's deck, because Tim's kind of also waiting to drop threats. Although Tim has 6 mana, so he could start dropping his own Trikes and his own Tetravises at this point, so which we're probably going to start see happening. But it is a good point that Lucas has another option besides just creatures to get damage in there.
Yeah, I mean, Tim just attacks here. He's got the Urnum Djinn now, and Lucas only has his Scavenger Folk and the Brass Man, so he may be able to get in for a couple damage if Tim doesn't play another creature, but now Tim plays his Triskelion.
There's the Trike.
Yeah.
And he could just, if he wants to, he could cap the Scavenger Folk and the Pixies.
He can't kill the Pixies. The Pixies' artifact damage is reduced to 0.
Oh, not just combat damage?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So he should probably kill... What is he going to trade it for? Is he going to kill the Sage and then do 1 to... I'm almost surprised he played it with the artifact destruction on board already. The Folk really made that a less than optimum play. Oh, and he just did him 3 damage with it. So that was a very expensive lightning bolt.
Yeah. But, maybe that's... And also, Tim had to take a damage to play that Triskelion because he had to tap his City of Brass, and now he's tapped out. And now Lucas can play... Ooh, he's got Fallen Angel. Look at that.
Fallen Angel seems pretty good.
Yeah.
That seems pretty good in this matchup.
Another card we've always loved. Amazing art.
Well, Tim could swing with the Urnum and then Juxtapose and give it back to him for the Fallen Angel. That might be kind of interesting. If he has another Juxtapose.
Looks like Gatherer just went down. I was trying to pull the cards up.
Yeah, it was down the other day when I was recording a match too. You can go to Scryfall. I mean, it won't have all the rulings, I don't think, but it'll at least have the Oracle text.
Okay, so Lucas gets his 3/3 flyer, and now, the great thing about the Fallen Angel is the Fallen Angel can be sacrificed to itself, or it can sacrifice other creatures. So the Fallen Angel actually does give Lucas a way to at least react as an instant in response to the Juxtapose, which is a sorcery. He can't do it once it's in cast, but he could do it in response. He could sack a creature or do some kind of instant actions using that Fallen Angel.
Ooh, look at that Spirit Link on the Urnum. That's gonna really make Lucas make some decisions here, because prior to that Spirit Link, you just take that 4 on the chin and then you crack back for 7 if he sacrifices those 2 creatures to the Angel, but now he really has to think if it's worth it to trade the Angel for the Urnum, which it might be. It might be worth it to trade those here if Lucas has other creatures he can play in his deck. Because he can't really allow Tim to just gain 4 life every turn. It's not sustainable. So I think he needs to block the Urnum with the Angel and sack the Pixies to it, and have them kill each other.
Yeah, I think you're right, because it's going to be too big of a problem.
He'll never outrace him if he allows him to bash in for 4 every turn and continue to gain life.
Right.
And he just gone. Which sucks, because I understand that Lucas is not going to want to give away his best win con that's on board, but I think he kind of has to.
Yeah, it's a real tough spot. This is the power of Juxtapose. Your opponent plays these small little creatures like sages and
So this is interesting. He sacked both of his guys to the Fallen Angel, but he really only needed to sack one of them. He didn't need to sack them both.
Well, but now the Fallen Angel can live, and
it'll live because it'll have 5 toughness.
That's right. Now the Fallen Angel will live because he gets +2, +1 for
7,
each.
5. Yeah. Oh, that's even better. No, that's totally worth it. That's totally worth it. Losing the Sage to keep the Fallen Angel seems amazing.
Oh, and now Tim has a backup plan in case something like this. He plays the Thanos Coffin.
Yeah, so he'll be able to activate that next turn. But Lucas will be able to get in this turn for 3 to 5 damage, which is kind of mitigated by Tim's life gain. Oh, there's an Underworld Dreams. Okay, so we're gonna start to see that start hitting in. Doesn't look like he's gonna play another creature to sack to the Angel. He's just gonna beat in for 3, which is fine.
Man, that Underworld Dreams, whew, that's like pivotal right now.
It's gonna start doing work. If they just start to play a game of draw go, it's gonna start putting in some work.
Yeah, that's really timely that he's gotten that Underworld Dreams, and he's got 3 more in his deck, so they could stack up here. Now the Blight is in play, and didn't Tim tap out on all of his lands earlier?
Yeah, it actually should just be in the graveyard. It's not hurting anything, but Tim did destroy the Tundra that the Blight was on.
Yeah.
So it really technically should be in the graveyard. But
Okay.
I mean,
let me ask him that. Hey Lucas, is that Blight still in play, or is that supposed to be in the graveyard now? Okay, thanks. All right, yeah, that should be in the graveyard. So did Tim lose a land to the Blight? He did.
Yeah,
but
it was a Tundra.
Tundra, yeah.
He lost the Tundra. Yeah.
Okay, so now Tim's in a little interesting situation. He can try to put the Angel in the coffin, but Lucas can just sacrifice the Angel.
Yeah, but there's no reason to do that because he needs to have that coffin locked down in case he wants to play something else.
Yeah.
So he might as well let him put the Angel in the coffin. Oh, that's interesting. He used his strip mine to strip. Why is he?
He doesn't want a third Underworld Dreams coming out.
Yeah, or a second one. Yeah, he wants to keep him off of triple black, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, now that's interesting. The Kumbaj Witches. All right, so Tim activates the coffin, so the Angel will go into the coffin. Or actually, it doesn't go into the coffin according to the new rules, right? It's just exiled.
I mean, thematically it does, but yeah, it just gets exiled.
Yeah.
So
now Tim's got to remember to take a damage each turn.
He has been. He's got a dice on top of his.
Yeah, that helps a lot to remember that triggered. So basically, the Underworld Dreams is putting a clock on the game, but it's pretty close. It's 12 to 13. Tim's on 12, and Lucas is on 13.
Oh, no. Ivory Tower. Now, Tim doesn't have enough cards to make that matter at the moment, but that could eventually, if Tim is playing a draw-go and just lets himself continue to draw, he might be able to start mitigating all the damage coming his way. Although, I don't know, he's going to have two points of damage coming his way each turn right now, even if Lucas doesn't play anything else. And it looks like he's passing with 1. Man, I wonder what that 1 card is.
Well, take a look at his deck photo, and you might be able to figure it out. It's probably a Juxtapose, right? Because he's not playing any creatures. He's played a couple of his Sages of Latinam. He's played one of his Brass Men. So he really has to have either a Triskelion, a Sage of Latinam, a Tetravis, or a Brass Man in play so that he can do the swap the right way and get a big creature for a small creature.
Yeah, and Tim's at 3 cards right now. Lucas is at 1. I was actually talking about Lucas's card, but you're right. I think that Tim could be sitting on a Juxtapose. Okay, we got a Diamond Valley.
That Diamond Valley. Now that's spicy too. That Diamond Valley can also compromise the Juxtapose engine, right? There's not other than Mana Drain, there's no way to counter Juxtapose, but having the ability to just sack your creature in response to that being cast can compromise the Juxtapose switcheroo.
Tim might be in trouble here. Like, this is
Well, he's got Ivory Tower though. All he has to do is sit back now and wait till he gets to 4 cards, and then once he gets to 5, he'll start gaining life.
He'll start mitigating the 1 damage a turn from the. Oh, there's a trike. Does he got?
That's a good card. Let's see if he does. Tim have a remove soul or something to deal with that trike?
No,
he's
running, not running. He's not running remove souls.
That's right. He's not running. If he plays
this deck
souls
again, he will.
Yeah, he's running the Spirit Links and Boomerangs and a couple Divine Offerings. So yeah, the Triskelion is going to be a huge swinger here, because even if Juxtapose does come down, he can launch off the Triskelion damage arms to do damage, or sack it to Diamond Valley. He's got a lot of options there.
And like something like Spirit Link's pretty bad against Trike. I mean, it would stop it from bashing in for 4, but it doesn't. I don't know. He could sack the arms in response to it coming down. I don't know. Tim's got 5 cards now. He just drew up to 5. Hopefully he's got something to work with. Nope, just passing. So this is not looking great for Tim. What could he have? Is Tim playing Boomerangs?
He does have a couple of Boomerangs. He's got an Amnesia. His one-ofs are, he's got 1 Blacksmith, he's got 1 Transmute Artifact, 1 Mana Drain, 1 Recall, 1 Amnesia, and a couple of Boomerangs and a couple of Divine Offerings.
So let's see. Lucas is gonna shoot Tim for 3, and then he's gonna sack the Trike to his Diamond Valley to gain a life, so that Tim doesn't gain anything from the.
That's right. Yeah.
Offering, which is pretty slick.
That's the right way to do it. Yeah. So he only gets in for 2 damage from the Triskelion, but since the Divine Offering would give Tim 6 life, because the Triskelion costs 6, this is a way to get around that big life gain bump.
And normally the Trike could just kill itself with a 3rd point of damage, but this is even slicker because he gets to do all 3 and gain a point, which is nice. It's it's looking a little scary for Tim. Down to 2 life. He's going to take at least 1 during the draw step, and then 1 from the witches. He's dead if he doesn't do something here.
He does have land tax, but he hasn't gotten it. He's running land tax as a one-of. He also has a Maze of Ith, which could also save him, and he has a Mistress Factory as well. So he does have some outs here. But really, he needs a way to gain life. And, that Divine Offering could have been used on his own artifacts, like his own Millstone, his own Fellwar Stone or his own Coffin in a real pinch. He does have 1 more Divine Offering that he may be able to...
It is a fun trick when you can do it, but he doesn't really want to get rid of the Coffin because that would let out the Angel, and he had to get that Trike off the board, otherwise it was just going to bash him in the face.
Yeah. What he really needed here was his Maze of Ith.
Maze would have been nice.
Yeah.
The Witches plus the Underworld Dreams is pretty tough though, because even if Tim was able to get a blocker down, he can just ping him with the Witches directly. Well, there's some life gain, so he's got a.
Look at that Diamond Valley. Yeah. Diamond Valley coming down.
He's going to go get a Trike or a Tetravis with his Transmute Artifact.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not out of it yet. So he's sacrificing the Coffin to transmute in a Tetravis.
That'll be the most life gain I guess he can get. I mean, I guess the Trike would have also been 4 without shooting any arms off, but yeah, that's fine.
4/4 flyer, and he can split it off into multiple blockers in his upkeep.
Yeah. It's too little too late, I think, though. But maybe not. Maybe he'll hang in there. We'll see.
It also gets him a shuffle on his deck. Not sure if that'll make a difference for him. He's not running Sylvan Library, but he does have a land tax in there. He does have a Maze of Ith. He's got a Mistress Factory. He's also got those other Spirit Links. If he could Spirit Link that Kumbaj Witches, that could help.
Well, if you're not playing Sylvan or Greed, which he's not in this build, because he's not playing those colors, and those are both restricted, card selection is really not there so much in this format. I mean, you can have Jalem Tome to recycle your lands into other cards if you have too much land or other cards you don't need. Does Tim have a tome in his deck? I imagine he must.
He is not running Jaloom Tome.
Yeah, I think that deck wants to be running at least one, maybe 2 tomes. So Angel's
Oubliette.
out of the coffin. Oh, he oubliette, so he's gonna eat it in response.
Yeah, so Tim will sacrifice the Tetravis to the Diamond Valley. Man, Diamond Valley is just such a powerful card. You know, this has been restricted for a while now for good reason in Four Horsemen. Being able to just sack your creature and gain life equal to the creature's toughness as an instant is pretty strong. Okay.
So Lucas just went ahead and sacked the witches to the angel and beat in for Xaxes. So that's game 1.
All right. Well, so while these guys are sideboarding, let's switch back over to the decks and let's take a look at the deck photos. So Lucas takes down game 1 in a pretty interesting match. It had some ebbs and flows. Lucas started off really strong, and he really only kind of stumbled in his rhythm when he played that Urnham Djinn straight into the scenario where Tim could then pull off his Juxtapose. So, John, if you are Lucas, what are you going to sideboard in against Tim?
Let me pull up his deck photo here.
So Lucas has 3 Desert Twisters, a Greed, a Stormseeker, a couple of drops of honey, 2 Clockwork Avians, 2 Suchis, a Triskelion, a Mirror Universe, and 2 Crumbles in his board.
I think I just like the black cards mostly against him. Maybe... I don't know. Maybe he takes the Urnhams out because they're kind of a liability for him.
They are,
Replaces them with something like either Twisters or Stormseeker or... Well, I mean, Lucas could bring in the Greed and the Stormseeker and maybe a Crumble. And
I would bring in both Crumbles.
Crumbles.
Yeah, I would bring in both Crumbles because he needs to be able to get rid of Tim's Brassman. What makes Tim's deck work is he has to have a Brassman, he has to have a Sage Alatinam, or a depleted Triskelion that's a 1/1. You know, any of those 1 power toughness creatures, that's what he wants to swap with you. Or he wants a Fellwar Stone that he can give you and get your big artifact, you know, if it's a powerful artifact. Lucas doesn't really have any powerful artifacts except for Suchis and Clockwork Avians. So I would definitely consider what to do with those Crumbles. You know, he's got Tim's got the 2 Tawnos Coffin as well. So I think those 2 Crumbles are an absolute must to go in. And, you know, I think he's really got to watch out for the scenario where Tim plays a small creature and's got 4 mana. I like the 2 Scavenger Folk in the main. And I like the fact that he's got, 6 creatures that can come out early. Actually 8 with the witches. So I think that's all pretty good. I don't know that he needs those demonic torments. You see those enchant creature demonic torments, John? I think the demonic torments can come out. He's running 3 Triskelions, a Jaloom, and a Fountain of Youth. If he puts the Greed in, that Fountain of Youth and the Diamond Valley could be very handy. Ashes to Ashes is also... So. Sorry, John. The Ashes to Ashes is also a card where Tim has to have 2 non-artifact creatures in play for him to use it. So I would pull out the Ashes to Ashes. I would pull out the 2 Demonic Torments. I'd put in the 2 Crumbles. And, maybe that Stormseeker or the Greed.
Yeah, I like all of those. Choices. I think that just getting the Urnhams out of there and pulling in 4 more useful cards could go a long way. And
well, he's got the Juxum Djinns too. I don't know that he wants to pull out the Urnhams and the Juxums. He's got 7 of those bad boys.
So I'd rather keep the Juxums because
they can beat Urnham.
If Tim steals the Juxum, he still takes damage from it every turn, and also he's not giving Forest Walk to, randomly giving Forest Walk to one of the other guys. Although I guess that doesn't really matter. If Tim's the one giving Forest Walk, it's not really not really relevant.
Yeah.
But
The other card that's actually very, very good in Lucas's deck against the Juxtapose combo is having Triskelion. You know, Triskelion on your side, if that's your only creature and they play Juxtapose, you can fire off the arms, you can kill itself. There's lots of things you could do. So, yeah, I would pull out those 2 Demonic Torments and the Ashes to Ashes and maybe 1 Urnum, and I'd put in the 2 Crumbles, the extra Triskelion, and the Greed. That's probably what I would swap out. Let's take a look at Tim's deck. Let me check on the guys and see where they're at. Okay, they're shuffling up. If you're Tim, you've got a couple Removed Souls and a Boomerang, some more Divine Offerings, a Cleanse. He's got a Cleansing. A Cleanse, or no, that's Cleanse. Destroy all black creatures.
yeah, that's pretty good. Is it all black creatures or all black permanents?
I think it's all black creatures.
Is it just creatures?
Yeah, I think
It'd be better if it was permanents, but it probably is just creatures. Also, check out those 2 Circle of Protection.
Yes.
Black and red.
The greater realm of preservation.
That's pretty good against Lucas's deck.
That is really good against Lucas's deck. Yeah, it's a COP for, you know, black and red. It costs more than a regular COP, but it prevents black or red damage sources. Here, I'll pull up the Gather and switch over to it real quick. Yeah, pay 1 and a white, and the next time a black or red source would deal damage to you, prevent it. So yeah, you know, looking at that sideboard, maybe we need to rethink what Lucas is going to sideboard in, because if Tim sideboards in his Greater Realms of Preservation, Lucas will need those Desert Twisters. So, that really changes things.
And may or may not want to keep the Urnums just because they're a green source of damage and not a black source. So I don't know. It's tough. He's got to play around some of these decisions.
Yeah. Well, I do think that those 2 Demonic Torments and the Ashes to Ashes are probably 3 cards that can come out. The Oubliettes are really good. I like the Scavenger folks. The Pixies are really good early, and they're also good if, you know, the only creature that Tim has is an artifact creature. So I think those need to stay. Does he really need the Fountain of Youth? I don't know. But back to Tim's deck. Let me make sure the guys are not starting off here. Okay, they're just doing their piles. They just did their piles. So let's jump back over to the match. All right, the guys have drawn. And I assume Tim is going to take the play.
That was a pretty decisive game 1. I'm interested to see how the sideboard games play out.
Okay, is Lucas taking the mulligan here? Looks like it.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, so while Lucas is taking his mulligan, I just want to take a quick look back at Tim's deck, just to kind of see what we think Tim is going to sideboard in. I think he's definitely going to put in those Greater Realms, and probably, I think he's going to put in the 2 Greater Realms of Preservation and the 2 Removed Souls. He doesn't need the Repentant Blacksmith, so he'll probably pull that out. And the Divine Offerings, the Divine Offerings might need to stay so he can gain life off of his own Triskelions. So yeah, I think he could pull out the Blacksmith, and he could pull out, maybe the Amnesia, since Lucas's hand's gonna empty pretty fast. He could take out the Amnesia, and he could take out the Blacksmith, and he could put in those 2 Greater Realms of Preservation, and that's a very easy swap right there. But he may want those Removed Souls too, so he might take out maybe the Boomerangs. I don't know, does he need the Boomerangs?
I don't think the Boomerangs are particularly effective against much of what Lucas is doing. I mean, they are a way to make Underworld Dreams go away, but not for long, unless you're gonna like follow it up with an Amnesia, because otherwise they just recast it. I don't know. There's not a lot of good targets for it, really.
Yeah. All right, so Lucas has mulliganed, and Tim is on the play. Or no, did Lucas take the play? Looks like he opted for Lucas to take the play.
Well, that's even better for him, really, because he'll get he gets the card for going second, and Lucas is down a card for mulliganing.
Yeah, that's true. And Tim is more control and slow, so he wants that extra draw. But Lucas gets a turn 1 swamp and turn 2 Bayou right into the Kumbaj Witches right off the bat. That's pretty good to get an early attacker. Diamond Valley comes down early. Love that
Not
card.
particularly relevant right here, but it's good to have. Certainly would rather have another mana source, but I don't imagine that he does if that's what he chose to play for his land for the turn. So that makes me a little worried for Lucas, because that means that he's essentially missed a land drop, and Tim is accelerating. So Tim's going to be in the vicinity of his 6 drops a lot faster than Lucas is this game, and that could make all the difference.
Yeah, and it puts Tim in position, getting that Felwar Stone out on turn 3 here, it puts Tim in position to be able to play a small creature like the Sage or the Brassman and still also be able to afford to play Juxtapose. So he can get a defender, a blocker in place, and be in Juxtapose position ready. Hitting all his land drops here.
Look at how sad that Fountain of Youth looks right now. Like, he would really rather have that be any other card. It's just not good right now. I mean, he'll gain a couple ancillary life points off of it, but I don't think that's what he wants to be doing right now.
No, he wants that to be a Scavenger Folk or a Pixies for sure. But he may have sideboarded in Greed, knowing this might go a long game. And if he did sideboard in Greed between the Diamond Valley and the Fountain of Youth, he will be able to gain a lot of life and draw a lot of cards.
Well, drawing cards is certainly good. I'm sure he must have brought Greed in. I would have, but
but Lucas is really stuck on mana here, and Tim is just dropping all of his lands, getting position ready. He's got a full grip. But
Tim's about to slam a 6-drop. I mean, like, is he gonna? Oh, maybe he doesn't have a 6th land.
He Spirit Links
the
Witches. Yeah, that shuts the Witches down.
Can't attack or ping now.
Yeah, so that really disables the Witches. But they're a much smaller creature, and that burns up one of the Spirit Links. But Tim wants Lucas to play a big creature because his deck thrives off of that with the Juxtapose. Lucas finally gets his 3rd mana-producing land. Oh, Underworld Dreams.
Underworld Dreams.
Does Tim have the mana drain? Oh, if Tim had the mana drain, he'd surely use it here. That's a card Tim doesn't want to see. Tim needs to lose a life there. Tim needs to lose a life there. Take the life. There you go, Tim. All right. He should put that dice back on top to remind. So whenever Tim draws now, he's going to take a damage for the rest of the game. Now Lucas needs to get into his 4th land, but if I were the advisor whispering in Lucas's ear, I would be very cautious about trying to play his big creatures. However, John, the saving grace here is probably going to be this Diamond Valley. Anytime Tim tries to play Juxtapose now, as long as that Diamond Valley is there, Lucas can munch, gain life, whatever big creature that Tim would be swapping with the Juxtapose. That Diamond Valley is a really good answer to the Juxtapose combo.
Yeah, it gives him some way to respond to it, at least. It gives him some agency in what Tim's actually going to get.
Yeah. So now Lucas is in an interesting position. He can just gain life off of his fountain, do damage with the Underworld Dreams, and if Tim doesn't come into Strip Mine, that Diamond Valley will really save Lucas.
Does this get remove sold? Nope, it does not.
Oh, he didn't have the remove sold. Wow. Okay. So now Tim's thinking, I can play my Brassman or my Sage, and then I can cast Juxtapose, but I will...
So Tim needs to go to 14 here. Oh, he's reminding him. Okay,
yeah, there we go.
Yeah, no, this is pretty all right, because now he's just going to beat away with that if he doesn't do something about it. And if he does try to steal it, he'll just eat it.
Yeah.
If he was able to take that Witches that has the Spirit Link on it, though, that's not the worst thing in the world, because he'd be able to gain some life off of that. But we'll see how it all unfolds.
Workshop coming down for Tim. So that's going to give him a lot more mana. So now he can play his Triskelions and Tetravises and still have enough mana to remove Soul.
I don't think he has a remove Soul in his hand. I think he would have used it on the Urnum, but maybe not.
Interesting though, if Tim plays Juxtapose and doesn't have a creature in play, then no swap occurs. Like they have to have a creature to swap for or an artifact to swap for. So actually, Tim could swap his Felber Stone and he could take Lucas's Fountain of Youth.
He could, and then he could start gaining a life.
Then he could start gaining some life. That might be fun.
I don't think it's enough, but like it's pretty funny.
The Diamond Valley is really complicating things here because Tim's over here thinking, I've got to get a creature in play. So this is going to be the Boomerang. Interesting. Boomerang the Underworld Dreams, maybe?
I don't think it's worth boomeranging the Underworld Dreams.
Oh, he boomeranged the Spirit Link.
Spirit Link.
Oh.
And then
Interesting. Okay.
Pretty good.
Now, if I were Lucas right now, would you go ahead and just sack the Spirit Link right away?
Well, he doesn't have any real way to destroy that Spirit Link ever. So maybe it would be better to just use it now so that if he needs to use that Diamond Valley later for something else, he doesn't end up in a situation where it's tapped when he doesn't want it to be.
That's right.
So I may have gone ahead and just
munched the Urnum.
He really doesn't want to give that Spirit Linked guy to Tim because Tim would gain life for it. So like it probably would be fine to just get rid of it now. But whatever. He can do it in response, but
yeah, because Tim could theoretically, if Juxtapose is cast successfully, there's a scenario where Tim could get that Spirit Linked Urnum on his side if the Diamond Valleys has been tapped for something else. So
yeah,
Lucas will want to watch out for that. So Tim's still got a lot of cards in hand, and he's looking back at Lucas's deck photo. The whole thing about sharing deck photos, it's cool in some ways. It takes away a lot of the surprise in some other ways. But, it's something we've done since the very first tournament. It's something that's done in all high-end tournaments as well, sharing the top 8. So it gives players a fair playing field because a lot of players talk about the decks and who's playing what. Oh, there's Lantax coming in. Lantax, another card that's just been seeing a ton of play in Four Horsemen. Also a card that's been reprinted a ton throughout the years. This is such a reminiscent card. It was reprinted.
Well, it was reprinted in 4th.
Yeah,
so that's what we're seeing there. And then I don't think it was reprinted again until much later. I think it was like Battle Bond or something crazy like that. Is there an edition of it in between there? I can go double check.
There's a whole bunch of them. But meanwhile, Tim just made a very interesting play. He played the cleanse. Against Lucas to get rid of his one Kumbar's Witches. That is interesting. This card has it's the banned art or whatever, but yeah, it's 2 white and 2 destroy all black creatures. So that destroyed the Witches, and then in response, knowing that a Juxtapose was possible, Lucas went ahead and sacrificed his Urnum Djinn to his Diamond Valley, gained the 5 life, and Lucas gets a factory. Wow, that is another great card against Juxtapose in particular. And plays another Urnum Djinn.
So the printing that I forgot about was the Battle Royale box set had it. So it went from 4th, and then Battle Royale, and then Battle Bond later. Also, it was printed in a whole bunch of the World Championship decks, so there's a bunch of gold bordered ones out there.
Right.
And then now, of course, in Modern Magic, there's a couple different new arts for it. But anyway.
Well, Tim still has.
Yeah, this is a good setup for. This is a good setup for Lucas. Like, I feel like he has some good control of this game.
Yeah, he does. He's got. Man, that Underworld Dreams is just something that Tim cannot deal with easily. When he played that Boomerang earlier, I wondered if he was going to Boomerang the Underworld Dreams and maybe he had the Mana Drain in hand. But no such luck for Tim there. He is able to trigger land tax. Lucas has 2, 4, 6, 7 land. And Tim has 6 land in his Felwar Stone, so he's able to get some more land. If he gets an Ivory Tower again, he could start gaining a lot of life. All right, here comes something big. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Interesting. He's not tapping. Is this going to be an Amnesia? How many cards does Lucas have? He's got 3 cards in hand. John, what do you think's going on here? Tapping 5 mana, putting cards face down.
He could be. I mean, what's he even have that's in his deck that's 5? He's not playing Clockwork Avians.
Well, he's got Amnesia. He's got a 1 of Amnesia. He's got Tetravis and Triskelions. He's got Recall.
Oh, he's recalling for
X equals 2. Okay, so he discards 2 of the lands that he grabbed with land tax, and he's going to get back a Spirit Link. And I would seriously think about that Boomerang because...
Yeah, I'd take the Boomerang for sure. Yeah, there it is. Look at that. 2 tricks for 2 lands. I don't hate it.
Yeah, that Recall is strong, and it's not restricted. Now he can play Spirit Link again.
All Urnum is Spirit Link.
Now Urnum is Spirit Link for once again. Tim's still hanging in there. He's at 10 life, but he's not out of this game yet. Okay, so Lucas is tapping the Diamond Valley, sacking the Urnum, gaining 5 more life, and also gaining 2 life from the Fountain of Youth. Now, interestingly, Tim is not running Mirror Universe in his sideboard, but Lucas is. If Tim had Mirror Universe in his sideboard, he could easily deal with this.
Lucas doesn't need to be playing that card this game. Is it like 30, 34, is it?
Well, here's the thing. There's so many life-gaining engine... I mean, even in the last tournament, we had, I think, 3 or 4 life-gaining engine decks. There's at least 2 or 3 of them in this tournament. So one of the strategies for dealing with all that, Dark Heart of the Wood, life-gaining stuff, is just to play Mirror Universe and swap life.
Underworld Dreams number 2 hits the board. That's pretty mean.
Yes, look at that. Underworld Dreams is the rock star of
Lucas
game.
is ready for that greed, so he can start drawing some cards. But I don't even know if he needs it with double Underworld Dreams on board.
Yeah,
now it's a 4-turn clock.
Right. Underworld Dreams is another card printed in 8th, 9th, 10th, Magic 10, 11, and Legends itself, and Theros Beyond.
Never reprinted with the original art though. Other than there was an F&M promo, but it's foil, so it wouldn't really be in old school.
The Julie Barrow art. All right, so Tim is able to stick to his 6 mana land count and is able to trigger land tax again here. Meanwhile, Lucas gets in for 2 damage with the Mishra's Factory, bringing Tim down from 10 to 8. Look at all the dice of Lucas's life.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Wow. Ah, man, it's really interesting to see how powerful cards like Diamond Valley and Underworld Dreams are in this particular matchup. Oh, look
There's
at that.
there's the greater realm, so he can start preventing. I mean, the only bad thing is if he ties up 4 mana, preventing 2 damage every turn, he's not going to have much mana left to play anything. Well, actually, with the workshop, he could still play a 6-drop.
Yeah.
And prevent 2 damage. So that's like pretty good.
Yeah, this is actually this could be a turnaround here. If Tim can get his Ivory Tower and still have his land tax triggering and have a few lands in his hand, he can just start gaining 3 life per turn and sit back and, prevent the damage. Oh, is he discarding 2 lands there?
Yeah, he has to discard down to 7. Which is, I don't know. It's tough because he's also gonna have that factory beating in. I mean, he could definitely have a Divine Offering in his hand to get rid of that factory on the way over, but we'll see.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if Lucas sideboarded in his Desert Twisters. He does not have enough mana to play them yet, because he's only got. Well, he does with the factory. If he taps out, he can play a Desert Twister and get rid.
I mean, there's nothing that can counter Desert Twister except for the 1 of Mana Drain. So if he does draw a Twister, he should definitely Twister the realm. And just keep getting in there with those Underworld Dreams. But I don't know if he has one or if he's going to draw one. He only has 5 mana right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 6 with the factory.
With the factory, right. The factory's the real problem for Tim right now. That factory getting in for 2 per turn with him not having a way to instantly get rid of it.
Divine Offering is going to hit the board right now, I'm sure. No,
doesn't look like it. He might have sided him out because Lucas didn't have hardly any artifacts.
Oh, maybe not.
But the Divine Offering is also very good for Tim. Like, he can fire off his Triskelion arms, and then he can Divine Offering his own Triskelion and gain 6.
Yeah, I don't think he has the luxury to wait around for that, though. If he has a Divine Offering right now, he needs to use it on that factory.
Oh, of course, yeah. But I was just saying, what I'm wondering is, it seems like Tim may have sided those Divine Offering out.
Yeah, well, I mean, if he did, he's in a real pickle, because he's got some colorless damage coming in every turn.
Yeah.
I guess he could draw his 1-0 Strip Mine, but, he's in trouble. He's at 6 life right now. Oh, my God, he took it. Okay, well, this is going to come down to the wire here in a second. So on Tim's turn, he's going to have to waste 4 mana preventing the damage from the double Underworld Dreams, presumably. And that'll leave him with 6 to play a 6-drop if he draws one. What does he even want to draw? I guess maybe he wants to draw a Trike so that he can kill Factory with it. Or really anything big enough. I guess if he drew a Tetravis, that'd be good enough too, because it'd be big enough to block the Factory. Or a Brassman. A Brassman could block the Factory. So he's got lots of things he could draw. Tim hasn't really played. Has he played any creatures this game at all?
Nope. We haven't seen a Sage. We haven't seen a Triskelion. We haven't seen a Tetravis. We have not seen a Brassman. Okay, so here comes the factory. Getting the Brassman right now would be really strong. It could block that factory, and at least be able to, keep the factory from hitting in every turn by Tim a few more turns. You're right. He's in a very, very, very tough spot here. Okay, so he's tapping 4. Also, if he gets a Katana's Coffin in play, he could put the factory in the coffin. That would be another way to deal with it.
Yeah, that's another way to get rid of it. So that would be all right. And he's got plenty of mana over there, so he's safe from the dreams, but he's not safe from the factory apparently.
Yeah, Lucas continues to gain life.
That's funny.
He's up to 35.
It's really added up between the Diamond Valley and the fountain that I was razzing on when it first came down.
Yeah, but he would have been hitting in for a lot more damage with a pixie by this time.
Yeah, if that was a creature instead of a fountain, I mean, I feel like this game would be over already.
Right.
All right, so what does Lucas do here? I think he should just attack before he does anything. And what is he playing? A scavenger folk? Yeah, okay. Sure.
Yeah, it's looking really bad for Tim. I wonder if Tim just had some really tough draws. Like you pointed out, he hasn't gotten any creatures this game at all. All right, so Factory is boomeranged back. That will buy him a little bit of time.
Yep, and it immediately gets replayed as his land for the turn. And, yeah, bought him 1 turn.
So he needs a Maze of Ith or a Strip Mine here for Tim to be able to kind of survive. Not a Maze of Ith or Strip Mine.
I can kind of feel Tim's frustration here because, he's got an interesting deck and he's a good player, but, it seems like he's a bit trapped.
Well, this matchup in particular is a really tough one for him because of the Underworld Dreams.
Well, when Tim beat me in the finals of Tournament 14, the card he killed me with was Underworld Dreams. So, live by the sword, die by the sword.
That's right. All right. He's got 4 Juxtapose, a City of Brass, and something else in hand. He doesn't have a creature to play Juxtapose. That's been his problem this whole game. He needed something so he could make the swap. So I think Tim's gotten a pretty bad draw, not getting into his creatures, even with land taxing multiple times.
What's going on here? He's just attacking with the folk and not attacking with the. Why didn't he attack with the Factory?
Maybe Tim showed him that he has a Divine Offering in hand. I don't know. Did he show? He flashed his hand for a minute. He had 4 Juxtapose.
I don't know. So that's interesting.
Let me turn the audio on. I'll turn the audio on and see what the guys are doing.
I did. I drew a creature.
Yay.
Okay, so Tim finally draws a creature there. It's a Brass Man, but Lucas having that Scavenger Folk. Peter just turned his camera on.
What's up, Peter?
I think his son was there watching the game with him. He must have hit the wrong button. At least he was wearing pants.
It's something.
Yeah, so this is really unfortunate, right, for Tim, because if Lucas didn't have that Scavenger Folk, this Brass Man could actually really save Tim. It could buy him many more turns. It could protect him from the attack of the 2/2 Mistress Factory. But that Scavenger Folk coming out the turn before is going to be able to destroy the Brass Man. He's actually got enough mana to protect himself from 4 Underworld Dreams using his Greater Realm of Preservation. I wonder if Tim can find a way out of this. I mean, there's a lot of outs for him. Strip Mine is an out, at least to get rid of the Factory. Maze of Ith is an out. Ivory Tower could potentially be an out. Divine Offering could buy him another turn. Another Boomerang or even a Triskelion could give him a blocker and a way to ping some of the other smaller creatures. All right, that looks like... Is that Oubliette again?
Yep, that's that Oubliette again coming down on the Brass Man.
Brutal.
Doesn't even need to sack the Scavenger Folk.
Wow.
He's got 2 daggers.
Wow, so strong. Lucas is just really, really hitting in well here. All right, so that is going to be game for those guys. All right, I think we can jump back in.
I kept a hand
All right.
with 2 Juxtapose, almost mulligan because I had 2 in my opening hand with no creatures. But yeah,
Wow,
good games.
wow.
Good games. Yeah, your deck did really well.
No, nice one. I was very lucky. I'll show you my hand just so you know I had on. And it was quite weird because I was really worried about the Juxtapose. And then now I can see your hand. I'm like glad I did it because I had a Juice hand, a Fallen Angel, and another Juice hand on my hand.
Yeah, it was, wow.
Tim, it seems like you really, I mean, you were just trying to draw into any one creature and you would have been able to juxtapose at some point, but you didn't get hardly, that Brassman was your first creature of the game, is that right?
Yeah, and it was like turn 12.
Right.
Or something.
Yeah, and you land taxed a couple of times, 3 times, I think, and you just, you weren't able to draw into a creature, so you had no blockers.
Yeah, I don't know. They just...
You had 4 Brassmen. Did you take the Brassmen out on your sideboard?
No, I didn't.
Did you? We were wondering what you sideboard. Did you sideboard out the Divine Offerings, or did you leave those in, Tim?
No, I left 2 in.
Yeah. Okay, that's smart. What did you guys sideboard, by the way? What did you sideboard, Lucas?
I'll show you. I had separated here, so this is my hand, right? By the way, because I was really worried about the Juxtapose, so I kept it in there, and I thought, hey, I just keep pinning him with the Underworlds. I'm at 30-something life. I don't have to hurry. Because I was worried that he was going to steal the big boy. So, I don't know. That's how I thought I should play. But
yeah, you played it exactly right. I mean, that game really came together for you.
Yeah, and then when I drew the Mischief Factor, I'm like, wow, that's all right. That's good because I can pin him down, a bit further. But I sideboard my Demonic Torment out, 2 Blights out, and Ashes to Ashes and Kumbai's Witches.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. The Demonic Torment and the Ashes to Ashes are not really great against Tim's deck. But the Blights could actually help because he does have Maze of Ith.
Yeah. So I thought, I just thought I need to put something on that I can get rid of cards like the Tunnel's Coffin. So I'm gonna fetch. I didn't draw any of my sideboard cards this game. But
you didn't put your crumbles in?
Yeah, I put the Crumbles, Desert Twister.
You did put the Desert Twister in.
Actually, I did board out 1 Brassman. I really wish I wouldn't have now, but that 1 Brassman would have been huge against
your savior.
Yeah, the Brassman is one of the amazing things about Brassman is if someone gets an early factory, the Brassman can just deal with that factory no problem. It's so strong for 1 mana.
Yeah, the Brassman's.
It's funny because it's a card that was reprinted and revised, and I remember playing it as a kid, and it's this card that just seems like it's garbage in Old School, but in Four Horsemen, it's actually pretty damn good.
But I drew it out. I boarded 1 Felwar, 1 Amnesia, the Transmute, my Pro Red Creature, and a Brassman for 2 Remove Soul, 2 Greater Realm, and a Cleanse.
Oh wow, yeah, those Greater Realms, man, those could be really strong over the long game.
Yeah, they were key, but I drew them both. I almost bored in 1, but I don't want to draw both. It's weird how I could draw both of those, like in the Cleanse, but I didn't draw any creatures.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was a tough match for you, Tim. I thought that your drawing was really, really hitting you, and you had all 4 Juxtapose in hand.
Yeah, and I started with 2, and I almost mulliganed, but I had lands and both colors. I had a Spirit Link. I had a Boomerang.
You had a bunch of outs too. You had your Maze of Ith, you had your Strip Mine, you had Ivory Tower, you had Tawnos Coffin. 2 of those. Any of those would have maybe helped you survive a little longer, but you couldn't get them.
Yeah, I just died basically to a Mistress Factory because I had the Underworld Dreams on lockdown.
Right.
At that point.
Yeah, that factory was killer.
Just 1 Mishra's. Yeah, and I had Divines. These cards don't help against Mistress Factory, sadly, the Juxtapose. But
yeah, the other card that we were saying was just really difficult for you to deal with in terms of the matchup was the Diamond Valley. Because
that saved me. Because I felt like even if you play Juxtapose and I had a big boy there, I could have sacrificed as a response. And they were fizzle. So when I saw the Diamond Valley there, I'm like, at least I can play on. I had all the creatures in my hand, but I didn't want to play because in case that you play the Juxtapose, and yeah, I was right. You had a couple in your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could have given you guys a better match.
Well,
So,
No, it was good.
It happens.
I enjoyed playing with you, Tim. It happens, but the game one was a lot closer. But yeah, unfortunately, you didn't draw anything, and that's magic sometimes.
yeah. Lucas, do you have to run, or can you play me a game for fun real quick? Just one quick game. Just me and you. We don't need to.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Yeah, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, so I got pretty much the whole day.
I'm probably going to put my brass man back in my deck.
all right, good games, guys, and thanks for the folks for joining, and we'll see you guys later.
Thanks, Jack.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay, y'all can stay in the Werebind and play your games.
Thanks. Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, thanks everyone for joining us today, and that wraps it up for our Four Horsemen Tournament 18 quarterfinals match. We'll see you next time.